So eventually, what you're going to have is a question bank that has several questions depending on how you've set it. So as an example here, I have just created question bank from lecture 1, lecture 5, lecture 8, and 10. And there, of course, each of it has, for example, this an essay, MCQ, short answer. This one has MCQs, short answer, and I have separated some true false. This one has essays, MCQs, short answer. The other one has essays, MCQs, and short answer. At that point, your question bank number 2, action number 2, is done, and that bank is ready. So now what we need to do now is to create what you are calling a quiz. Now remember, the quiz is equivalent to the exam now. This is where it's going to have section A, section B, section C, depending on. So to create a quiz, what do? You will come back and click on quizzes. And when you click on quizzes, you'll find there's nothing. Come over here and now click on plus quiz. Now on the plus quiz, you're going to meet the first section here. This is where section A or B is supposed to be. So the title here is going to be section A. And depending on your department, if A was MCQs, that is what you're going to label here as MCQs for section A. Now the other important thing now we do is the instructions here are going to be here. So assuming all the questions are being attempted, you'll say attempt all the questions in this section. That is the only thing you write under this area here, because it is giving the instructions. So that's what you simply. The other important critical area now you need to look out and check that everything is okay is this section here. You want to make sure it is graded. Now, because they are MCQs, because the MCQs we are creating, this is the part A for exam and the MCQs, you want the MCQs questions to be shuffled. The other thing you want it to be timed. Now this is what we say. If you decided to make half, you say hours, and the other half MCQ hours, and the exam is 2 hours, this is what you type here. So the time will vary. Now you don't want them to have multiple attempts because it's just supposed to be one shot. Now you want the student to see what they're answering, that is true, but you don't want them to see the correct answers. So this section here, do not allow them to see correct answers. The other thing is here, you want them to only have one question at a time. When one question comes at a time, it means that they will concentrate on that question, and then when they say next is when the next question will be coming. But you're going to see there's a way a student will be able to see which question he wants first out of the ones you'll have given them. So we want them to see one question at a time. It creates the challenge there. Now, this part of locking questions, it is advisable not to lock it for now, because when a student does an exam, even on paper, and they have made a mistake, they are supposed to have an opportunity to go back and do the corrections. So we are not locking the questions here. We are not locking after answering. We want it to be open. They can review until they are ready to submit. Now this other part here, for the teacher, we are saying leave it open. This one is going to be handled by the registrar's office, the time when they'll be publishing and releasing the examination, depending on the timetable. So ignore this part for now. Now, don't save for now. You have created some conditions here. This is what you are seeing under settings. Under settings, you have given the instructions. You have said you're going to grade it. You are going to only let students see the quiz responses. You want the question to be one at a time. So in some papers that there may be additional codes for closing, or restrictions to allow only those who are supposed to, by putting here required codes, but that is an option. So now we want to put the questions. So what do we do to put the questions? We click on questions. Now note, this is where the exam is being created randomly from your question bank. at this point here, this is where you are telling the computer, I have several question banks, and in those several question banks, I want you to create an exam randomly from the following banks with questions of your choice, which I have already created in my question bank. So what are you going to do here? To now have these questions be prepared by the computer, you need to click here on the new question group. Click on new question group and click here. Now it will bring here, and the first thing it will be saying group. Now note this word group can be changed to anything. Group can mean you want to have the first batch of question. That is my first batch. The question has to be identified, which batch. So I want to have a first batch of questions, and that first batch of questions, I want it to pick, and remember the MCQs that I'm preparing, I want it to pick 4 MCQs. And those 4 MCQs, when it picks, I want it to award 2 marks to those 4 MCQs. So in total, there are already 8 marks that will be gotten if it picks these 4 questions here. Now, you have to remember how many marks you have decided to allocate the MCQ section. So in this instance, after telling it to pick 4 questions and allocate 2 marks, and identify that first batch of questions as batch 1, then the next thing you need to tell the computer is, where is your bank? From where does it pick the questions? So you come here under link to a question bank. You click on it. It will open up this window. Now when it opens up this window, now look around and look for your question bank. As you can see, this is my question bank from lecture 1 all the way up to 10. So in this instance, I've decided MCQs, and I want to tell the computer for the MCQ sections in lecture 1, I want you to pick all those 4 MCQs from that section here. So what is it going to do? It's going to pick the questions from that section. Let me make it better so that it shuffles. Only pick 2. So I've changed my settings there. Pick only 2 from there because there are 4. I don't want to pick everything. I just want you to select 2 randomly. So I've asked it to pick 2 out of there. Now it will pick 4. So once I have clicked on the bank that it requires to pick, remember now to click here, create group. So you create a group. So what does that mean? It means what you have told the computer is, go to lecture 1 MCQs question bank, which I created. When you go into that question bank written lecture 1 MCQs, pick there 2 questions from that bank, and the 2 questions you will pick, award it 2 marks. So by now, I have 4 marks already. So I need to get 26 more so that the total MCQs come to 30 marks. So what do? I come again and create another new group here. Now this creation of new group, I'm going to ask the computer, call that my second batch of questions. It could be group 2, it could be lot 1 or 2. So in this one, I have a second batch of questions, which I'm calling batch 2. And on this, please pick 3 questions. And those 3 questions, I want 2 marks. Where are you getting the questions from? The computer is getting the question marks from a bank from lecture number 5, MCQs, and I've asked it to pick from there. There are 8 questions in that bank. But what will the computer do? Only select 3 from there and award 2 marks. And remember to create. And the computer says, I've accepted your command. I will pick 5 MCQs from the question bank called lecture 5, and I'll take 3 out of the many that are there. Take 3, give it 2 marks. So now I have 3 times 2 is 6, plus 4 I have 10. I still need 20 more marks. So I go and tell it again, now look for another group. Look for another one which I'm going to call batch 3, and in that look for 5 questions, and you see here it's a variation. The teacher decides how much it should pick from each of these banks. Then link it to a question bank. What is the name of the question bank? The question bank that I want to is now go to lecture 5, but where there are only true and false questions only that I've created. And when you are there, remember, if you go back to that bank, you'll see for lecture 5, true and false, there are 7 questions, but I've asked it to pick how many? It's only going to pick 5 and leave others from there. So after that, remember to create. So now how many marks have we acquired already? So now the computer knows in lecture 5, where there is only true and false, we'll pick 5 questions and award 2 marks. Total marks now I have is 5 times 2 is 10, plus the other 10, I have 20. So I still have 10 more marks to look for to make sure the MCQ section is complete. So what do? I again say new question bank. I pick batch. I write here the title for the next batch of questions as batch 4. And in batch 4, I decide let me pick 3 more questions and award 1 mark. And where are you getting that? I want to pick it from this lecture 8 MCQs. And I select the bank. So out of the 8, it will pick only 3, give it 1 mark, that is 3 marks, and I create. So now I have 20 plus 3, I have 23. I'm still lacking 7 more questions. So I can come and say new group, and this is going to be my 5th batch of questions. In this 5th batch of questions, please pick 2 again. And those 2 award 2 marks. And where are you getting those 2 marks from? Go to lecture 10 MCQs. That one, it will not pick anything, it's 0. It comes here, this one there. Select, and it will pick only 2 out of the 10 available, and I create. So now this time I was supposed to have 7, so I'll be at 4. I've minus 4, there are 3 more remaining. So what will I tell it? Now go again into the bank, create a 6th batch of question. This time pick only 3 questions and award only 1 mark. And where are you getting those questions from? You go and scroll in your question bank and decide I have somewhere where I can do matching. Let's look for another bank somewhere. So there's a bank called here. Okay, let's look for another bank, and where there are only MCQs. Don't go back there. Can pick from matching. Let me see who is matching. And matching. There are 2 questions here. But then I can tell it just pick 2 there and award 1 mark and create. So now we'll pick 2 questions and award 1 mark, and I still need 1 more to make sure I complete my MCQs, and that is going to be my batch 7. And I tell it, okay, you can still go back to question bank number 8 or 5 or any of the others and just pick 1 more from there. So assuming the MCQs where there's another 2 false here, there. So by now, my question bank, and I create. Remember to always create. What you've done at that point, now it is important for you to save. And when you save, section A is ready. And when you look at that section A review, it's saying it is going to be graded. It has 30 marks. Their answers will be shuffled. It's going to be 60 marks. There will be no multiple attempts, only 1. So a teacher can review what the student is likely to see. Now remember, it will be changing. And when you do this and ask the system to review, this is what you're going to see. It's going to show you these are the questions that it has picked for that student. And as we said, it's 1 question at a time. The student will have to scroll through. And when they are ready to submit, eventually in the last question, they can just click submit. That is at the end. But for now, they can even go and decide which question do I start with here. And by clicking directly here. And as you can see, they already know there are 18 questions here. All these 18 questions are going to amount to only 30 marks because you've been mixing. So it has picked several from different areas. And it's going to deliver this now to the student. So every student is going to get a different set of bunch from the same bank according to the instructions that you are given the system when you are doing the setting up at that point. So at that point, section